Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
I'm not surprised.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the MMA Corner. And in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about what happened last night when Charles Oliveira went up against Ilia Topuria. A lot of us Charles fans are not doing good today because of what happened. It sucks to see, a future Hall of Famer like Charles Oliveira go out the way he did last night. I had never seen him. I don't think anyone has ever seen him go out like that. But you know what? Ilia Topuria did it, and it was a pretty devastating knockout. Okay. So I guess we're jumping right straight into it, right? So yeah, Ilia Topuria went out there. He looked very confident. I think he even celebrated the night before. So he was very, very confident going into this fight. He was smiling on his way, out to the octagon. And, Charles Oliveira, to me, he looked the same as always, right? He's never really showing a lot of emotion. He's just going out there and getting ready to fight. So I didn't really see much difference from Charles Oliveira during his walkout. In the first round, Charles went out there. He was able to take the fight to the ground for a little bit, and after some exchanges in the ground, Ilia Topuria, he said he wanted to keep it on the feet. And after that, Mark Goddard, I think that's who was the referee last night, he stood him up, and they went toe to toe, and Ilia caught Charles with a right hook, following it up with a left hook, and that right hand put our boy Charles down. And Charles just folded like a launcher, and then Ilia followed with some shots, and that was all she wrote. And honestly, guys, I made my prediction. I knew Ilia was gonna win. I really didn't see much of how Charles could have won this fight. I knew it was gonna be very tough for him, and I wish the outcome would have been different, but it is what it is. Charles, at least Charles showed up. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it was just devastating to watch. It was just it just sucked, and yeah, like I said, I didn't think Charles was going to win this fight. I knew Ilia was going to win. I said that he could have won by the third round. I didn't think it was going to happen so soon. And I really didn't think it was going to be a knockout loss the way it was. I thought it was going to be more of a TKO. I thought, he was going to drop Charles and then, follow up with some punches, and then the referee was going to stop and, stop the fight. But, it wasn't like that. I mean, it's similar, but no, Charles went out cold, you know what I'm saying? So that was, that sucked. But yeah, guys, so, and then right after the fight, he said, when they were in the post-fight interview, they were asking Ilia who he wanted next, and he said that he was referring to Arman Tsarukyan when he said something about someone not showing up because then they hurt their back. And then he ultimately, called out Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. And Paddy went in, and they were talking some smack, and then Ilia gave Paddy a shove while holding the two belts. And so yeah, so what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think Paddy is next? Do you guys think that's the fight to make? Because Arman Tsarukyan, he is the #1 contender, and then you got Justin Gaethje, who also wanted another shot at the title. But then you have what happened yesterday, and now you ask yourself, do we make Paddy the Baddy Pimblett versus Ilia El Matador Topuria? Is that a fight that maybe we could see towards the end of the year? I think they have a card at MSG later in the year, or in December. I think they usually have another big card in Vegas. So could that be the fight to make, or do they give Arman Tsarukyan the title shot? I guess it could go either way, right? I mean, I do think that Arman deserves a title shot because he is the number one contender. But then again, I think a fight between Ilia Topuria and Patty Pimblett will sell. Is I think it's just gonna draw a lot of attention, and you know, it's gonna be a I guess you could say a fan favorite fight to watch. You know what I'm saying? So I think it could be either one, right? I would feel bad if they skip Arman, but I completely understand because I would want to watch, you know, Patty versus Ilya. They have some history. They don't like each other, and you know, yesterday when Ilya shoved Patty, you know, they like, you know, what would the emotions do to Ilya? You know what I'm saying? Would they affect Ilya in a negative way, or you know, or can he, you know, knock out Patty just like he's done to Volk, Max, and now our boy Charles Oliveira? So, you know, that I think that fight would be pretty interesting. You know, at first I did kind of have my doubts in Patty because I did think that because he does, you know, he does get hit, and you know, I thought he had to, you know, polish up a few things, and lately I feel like he has. Lately I feel like he's gotten a lot better. So now I don't think Patty is the same Patty that he was a few years ago. And now if he were to face Ilya, I honestly do think that Patty could pose a bigger threat to Ilya just because that respect that he had like against Charles won't be there. He might be able to get under Ilya's skin. You know, he might be able to, with all that trash talking, he might be able to you know, do something mentally to Ilya where he might not all be there. Ilya might get just, you know, too emotional in the fight where he could make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? And also Patty, he's pretty big. He's a pretty big guy, and honestly, I think he might be a little bit a little bigger than Charles. So all that weight, you know what I'm saying? I wonder how all that weight, you know, with a punch, landing on Ilya, how that would affect them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not opposed to that fight, but I also am not opposed to, you know, Arman getting a title shot. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, sucks to see Charles Segal like that, but Ilia Topuria, he is the man. He said what he did what he said he was going to do, and not a lot not a lot of people do that. So props to him on becoming a double champ, and let's see what else is in store for him. I hope he doesn't just walk away like Habib did. I hope he actually, you know, defends the title and actually, you know, gets more wins and really cements, you know, his name in the history books. I mean, he already has, but you know, if he were to take out, you know, for example, Patty, Arman, and maybe Justin Gaethje, those are, you know, some big names, and that would really, you know, cement his legacy in the history book. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you guys thought about the fight. Let me know what you guys think what might happen with Ilya next. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you guys on the next one.